This is Dr. Kabuleta representing the Power Flavor
magazine. No flow, boom, boom, boom.
Wedding traditions and customs vary greatly between cultures, countries, and social classes. On Platinum, we bring you a glimpse of wider fashion for both men and women, hairstyles, makeup, and shoes, where you can pick a leaf for your occasion. The magnificent Platinum decor. The Platinum cake. The unforgettable moments at our traditional ceremonies. The tridents where we tie our knots. And the party begins.
Platinum Weddings, 4 to 5 p.m. only on UBC TV.
Yes, welcome back from the break. You're watching UBC TV News Journal, and we always end the bulletin with at least a brief discussion about some pertinent issue hot that day. Now, Government of Uganda is coming up with a faith-based organizations policy targeting to monitor, handle whatever is to do with our faith and how we enjoy that right. That is how I would understand it. But what would you make of this policy? And we want to get to understand it more and what it will mean to those of us that go to church, mosques, and all that. I'm joined by a man, an evangelist now. His name is Joseph Kabuleta. Joseph, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
How is your afternoon?
My afternoon is very wonderful.
Yes, here is a policy, and it targets to see that we are streamlined and guided according to it. Those of us that believe. What do you make of it?
Well, the thing is, the wording they are mostly using is that of regulate. And that in itself is scary. However, we know that
the word regulate is scary.
Yeah, because if it's not scary in anything else, it is scary when it comes to faith. Because faith is a very personal thing between somebody and his God.
It must be an absolute right without any regulation.
Precisely. No, the issue is that there are regulations, but which are not different specifically for faith. You understand? There are, for instance, within my faith, I cannot believe that I should murder, because those will make me go against the laws of the state.
Yes.
However, in exercising my faith, if I have not broken any of the laws of the state, then the state has no business telling me how I should do that. So this is what we have against this. Because if we are a secular state as we are, and that's enshrined in the Constitution, that means that there is no specific religion that is either preferred or that is prohibited by the state. In other words, it's a marketplace of ideas. Anybody can go out there and start a faith,
worship the way they want,
and try to seek their God the way they want. Do
you think that is the very problem?
Why?
If we are free to worship the way we want,
yes.
When people end up worshiping the way that infringes on other people's rights, and how
that's where the state comes in. If it infringes on other people's rights, if it goes against the laws that are already existing, then the state comes in, because they are broken laws. But what the secular state means is that if, for instance, you started a religion,
yes,
and you said you are God, whatever, however ridiculous it is, and you have people following you, it's their right to follow you. Because what if they actually believe you are? And is the state going to be the one on Judgment Day? So everybody has the right to choose for themselves what they want to believe. But if any of the laws existing, then they have a right to come and say, no, now you are not supposed to do this. This goes against, here you're infringing, and all those things. And what we are saying is that those laws are already there. And there is no need for an extra law. Because the spirit of this policy that they are trying to come up with is actually of control. And
controlling what exactly?
controlling faith-based organizations, actually specifically controlling evangelical churches, mostly, and trying to centralize them, you understand? Because we've had talk of, you know, other religious organizations are centralized, the Catholics, the Muslims. Why aren't you centralized? That's not how we operate. It's totally different. You see, you can't have a centralized born-again whatever. Body. No, it's not. That's not how it is. There's no way it is. It's that way in the world. Because born-again churches are set out on a different premise, and that's how they are. And that's how they've survived, and there's no need for anyone trying to, because if you try to centralize them, then actually government is making itself a manager of doctrine, which it is not supposed to do.
Do you realize that in some faiths there are things or ways of how people handle their belief that need some guidance? Take an example. If you're hearing whatever is happening currently, the allegations,
examples,
the burning of Bibles, 77 days of glory. I was with somebody who was complaining the other day in an interview, and he told me, how can people pray from Monday to Sunday 7 nights a week? A number of things that are happening. People will end up not having work to do, not having time to go for work because of such things. Don't you think we need some regulations somewhere? Secondly, the other thing, everyone coming up with a church or an institution like that. Joseph wakes up, he brings his, Michael comes up, I bring mine, another man, like that. People will start faking the religiousness in them because this will become an employment venture.
The point is this: it's up to the personal believer to decide that Michael's is fake, Joseph's is not fake. You cannot have that the responsibility of government. There is no way government can be responsible for doctrine. I want you to understand this, because somebody's faith is sacrosanct. It's between them and their God. Government has no business entering there whatsoever. So if Michael starts his and I start mine, the people who listen to us have the right to choose between two of us who is going to lead us to God. Now that's the point. As for the people praying every day, is there any evidence that they have committed any crime? If they have committed any crime, that's different. But is government going to put the number of days people are supposed to pray? Is that what they are? Is there any such law?
You know, you're my senior in this business. You must be more informed about the Chiwetere and Kanungu saga than I am. But when you look at the information that you have about it in wholesome, don't you think really there is need for government's hand when it comes to faith?
No,
because if the government was in control of this whole church and belief thing, probably the Chiwetere saga.
No, the thing is that the Chiwetere saga, which everybody is using, and which happened 17 years ago, and cannot be the reason for a policy today, because if it had been a reason for a policy back then, but even then, there is nothing that was done by the Church of Restoration of 10 Commandments, or whatever they call themselves, the Chiwetere thing, that could not have been prosecuted under the law. Under the existing laws, and there are laws. That's the point.
Okay.
Without infringing on doctrine, there are laws. Chiwetere could have, and perhaps should have, and definitely should have been apprehended within the existing laws and brought to book before he caused all the mayhem he did. Is it because there was an absence of laws? No. There was an absence of monitoring. Actually, it was negligence. There is no need for an extra law. The laws that could have prosecuted Chiwetere are there, and there have been other pastors who have been prosecuted under existing laws. There was Mwanguzi, the guy of Chiwede, called Chiwede. He was prosecuted and taken to court under existing laws for abuse of, what he was doing, churches and all that. So why the need for an extra law? You see, because now, those that are there have proven to be okay if there is monitoring of them and somebody going into excess here and there. However, what they are trying to do now is to enter into doctrine. Enter into doctrine. Now, doctrine is not government's business. That's what I'm calling control. And that's exactly what happened under Amin's regime. Okay? Because Amin decided now these are the religions which are acceptable in Uganda. Now, nobody has that power because Amin died. He was judged on his own. When I die, nobody's going to give. I can't give an excuse.
So the point is, this law is embracing all of us, but at least with stipulated guidelines on how we have to enjoy
those
our rights.
Those guidelines are already there.
Because Joseph, how old is the law you want us to continue following?
No,
what changing society?
My question is, what isn't covered in the law that I want us to continue following. Because this law, this policy, if I read the draft and all that, actually is so extensive and it lends itself to a lot of abuse and a lot of money actually having the hand right inside the, you know, at the way churches are run. So that's the problem we have. I mean, that's one of the problems we have with it. But the reality is that I want anybody to come up and say that any of the excesses that have been mentioned here, that have been spoken about in the media and all that, even banning the Bibles, if they were banned actually, because the person who is said to have banned them says he did not ban them.
In fact,
but
no one has come up with evidence
that they were banned. But
yes.
if they were, there are laws for that. And he can be prosecuted. Actually, as far as I know, somebody resided in court and has charged him for banning Bibles. So why do you need an extra law? Because somebody banned Bibles. There are existing laws for that.
What gives you the satisfaction that the existing law can handle everything and we do not need a new one, even when society changes every day and you know it?
The thing is this. When you see, the society changes.
True.
But worship and the freedom of worship and the freedom and the sacrosanct nature of worship does not change. That's the whole point.
Joseph, I've grown up in a Catholic church where we only used to have drums, but you find a whole drum set in there, instruments. Music will sound like in a nightclub.
Yeah, in the Catholic church.
To accommodate the young ones of us who would be taken elsewhere.
Now, what is wrong with that?
When you say that faith does not change, some people will
No. I didn't say faith, the way people worship doesn't change. I'm saying people's right to worship does not change. The way they worship can change. There's nothing wrong with Catholics introducing drums or anybody else or doing anything that they want to do within their, you know, the way they believe. And there's nothing wrong with anybody going to the Catholic Church and believing that. However, what we are saying is that you cannot come up and say, this thing is holy, this one is not. Why should pastors under the law? Why should somebody not be saying, you know, a holy something and the other one saying holy what? You know, you've heard of holy rice and all that.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, okay, perhaps I wouldn't go and buy holy rice from wherever it was sold, if it was sold. But the point is that, how is that any different from all the other things? What makes something holy? Faith. Now, when the Pope was here, their rosaries he apparently prayed for, and they became holy. And even mobile networks were giving out holy SIM cards and holy rosaries to people who buy airtime. What makes them holy? Faith. So if you're a Catholic and you believe because the Pope prayed for the rosary, it's holy, that is your right. Now, if somebody else, on the other hand, believes that something which somebody whom
a loaf of bread
is holy, that is his right. You cannot legislate and say it's okay for the Pope's thing to be holy and it's not okay for the rice to be holy. That is not for legislation. That is for the people to be told, and because anything...
But I think the law is coming to look at all that, no matter whether it's the Pope or Pastor Joseph.
My point is that it does not... I mean, it's not the place of the law. So are Catholics going to stop believing that the rosaries which the Pope prayed for are holy because the law says so? No, that would be infringing on what they believe. So if it was going to touch that, it would even be worse. So it should not touch anything of what faith is, because anything that is holy is about faith. I believe a place is holy because of faith. What makes a building? If you turn this building, for instance, into a mosque, somebody will come and get the cameras out and say this is where it turns to Mecca, it becomes holy. What makes it holy? Not the bricks, the faith of the people who are worshipping in there. So now, that's what you can't legislate, the faith.
So what are we going to do? Those of us that have faith in different denominations, and we think this law may infringe
because
on our right.
One of the things, I was talking to the Canon Aaron Mwesigye, who is the head of whatever, the directorate of ethics and integrity. And he's saying, you know, previously somebody just says he dreamt and then he goes and starts a church. Now he says, now it's not going to be like that. You can't just dream and go and say you start the church. And I'm thinking...
Those are the testimonies. Some other man told me, no, it was a lady, in fact, she told me, we were on a talk show here, and she said, the voice told me. Some of those things are not believed. And if any, in fact, if any agreement comes up under such circumstances, really, just feel some sympathy for the police.
No.
How do they handle when somebody just dreamt, another one had a voice?
Now, here is, you see, this is the problem. We are Christians.
Yes.
You and I. I am a Christian. Now, a man who wrote 2/3 of the New Testament, called Paul, says he was walking on the way and Jesus appeared to him. He says even the people who were with him did not see Jesus. He's the only one who saw him. But we believe him, and we believe the words he wrote. So if we believe Paul, why shouldn't we believe you if you say that? Of course I wouldn't believe you, but the point is, if somebody chooses to believe you, it's his right. So at what stage do you say, okay, now Jesus stopped talking? Wait. When do you say Jesus stopped talking to people at this time? So now anybody who says Jesus talked to him after that is a lie. Because Paul said he was walking with people on the road, okay? And Jesus appeared to him. He says the people who he was with did not see Jesus. He's the only one who saw him. And on the basis of that dream, now if Aaron Mwesigye had been there at that time, he would tell the Apostle Paul, you are lying. How can you just say you dreamt and started something? But that's the basis of the New Testament. Now, almost, 2/3 of the New Testament are written by that man who just dreamt.
Now, the kind of contradiction is here. In fact, controversy. Very true and understandable in a Christian perspective. But now some argument has come up within the church. People have disagreed, and you go to table it before the tables of to do with law, and people have to discuss it in a law perspective.
The laws are there. If any laws have been broken, that's different. But if somebody says he dreamed and he started a church, what law has he broken?
Have you had some issues that have come up in villages where people have problems with witchcraft? They take the real witch they suspect to the police. They will release the man to go free because no one can produce evidence.
Yes, exactly, because the laws in police do not cater for things like witchcraft. Because
can they interpret Christianity?
No, they are natural laws. Now, the thing about Christianity, and at least the Christianity that I believe in, is it's a supernatural thing. So somebody tells you it's about something, there is heaven and all that, and all, the police is not going to legislate on that because they have not seen it. It's based on what they see here. That's what they call natural laws. Now, if you say that somebody has to be, for instance, have education, to be a pastor, a certain maybe theology degree or something, what kind of qualification for him to be pastor, and then you put that enshrined in some kind of policy or law, then you've lost the whole thing because let those who have theology degrees start their ministries, and those who do not have start, and let the believers decide where they go. Because here is the point. And these are some of the things which are raised by Aaron Mwesigye. Here's in a phone call to me. Here is the point. The phenomenon of a non-professional preacher, in other words, one who wasn't ordained, was started by Jesus Christ himself.
Because he had no training.
Him is one thing. But he went and chose fishermen. Fishermen are despised then, were despised then as much as now. Those are the people he chose. Peter, John, James, all of them were fishermen. True. And he left people who had gone to school, people like Aaron Mwesigye, okay? People who have gone to school and actually went for fishermen. And those fishermen are the ones who spread the gospel, and that's why we believe now. So why do you tell me that suddenly now, for you to be a pastor, you have to have a degree in something?
This man is telling me you're running out of time. But before we go, what are you or we going to do to see that at least harmoniously we get along with government and maybe not have this policy or have it in a way that will not infringe on our rights?
We already have harmony. We do not have unity of ways of worship, but we do not expect to have that as long as there is no, knocking heads and no law is being broken. But we have harmony. And even in places where they are centralized, there will always be controversy. Even where they have a centralized system, like the Catholics.
Does that justify controversy?
The point is that controversy in faith is always there. Read the Bible. The whole of Acts of the Apostle is controversy. Paul being thrown in prison and what is all controversy, because it's me encountering what you believe and telling you that I believe something. And I encounter what you believe. And a marketplace of ideas. So you sit and speak what you believe, and people are supposed to listen.
So are you going to petition Parliament or something like that?
No, we've actually sent in a petition to the people who are drafting the policy to tell them that these are the things, these are the issues we have against what they are doing. They are infringing. We're calling it religious suppression. Okay, actually operation, because from they call it regulation, but from regulation it goes to control. That's actually what it is doing. Control goes to suppression of certain kinds of people whom you think they should not worship the way they are worshipping. Then from suppression it goes to oppression. And then we go right back to where we were under Amin, where certain religions have been banned because the president thinks they are not right. But who is the president in faith? He's the president in politics, not in faith. Faith is separate. It's between me and God. There are no in-betweens.
Okay. Thank you so much, Joseph.
You're welcome.
I'll not add anything. That is what he thinks about the law or the policy that is upcoming, and we wait to hear from other people, especially those that are trying to formulate the policy and bring it up. We thank you so much for your time. That is all we had for you this afternoon. My name is Michael Jordan Lokoma. I wish you the best of the weekend. Have the best of the day. Thank you, Joseph.